Hi, this is Billie Beene here with a world news flash update. Today's date is June 21, 2024, time in Texas about 1 p.m. So we'll begin. We're facing a war on like 4 fronts. Wars and rumors of wars. As the song by Johnny Cash, going by the book, Jesus spoke about it and John got to see it. Wars and rumors of wars in the U.S. The U.S. has 11 Russian subs off of our East Coast. We have a Russian warship and some affiliated ships and several subs near Florida and Cuba. They also, Russia and Iran, both have troops and equipment and missiles in Venezuela. We have 27 Russian subs off of the U.S. West Coast, stretching from Alaska down to Hawaii and Guam, and more. And now we have this coming out from the state of Tennessee, a bill that's has been signed by the great Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee. We're seeing some great efforts by U.S. governors, the great state of Texas, the great state of Louisiana, Tennessee, South Dakota, Florida, and many more. Turning to God. And this bill has to do with bringing the people of Tennessee into agreement for a time of intermittent fasting and prayer. Whereas our state and nation suffer from drug trafficking and human trafficking and non-citizen attacks and non-American policies in our schools. All of these violate the core values given to us by our Creator. So that's going on. In Tennessee, this was brought forth by State Senator Pitti and Representative Fritz. Yes, I agree 100% with that. So we see America in the crosshairs of Russia and other nations, brought about by psychopaths and sociopaths currently in operation in the evil and corrupt current U.S. federal government, NATO, and who have infiltrated high positions in the U.S. military. Who can take care of this threat? That would be God. But is the threat real? Yes, it's real. We can see it with our lying eyes. So that's going on. So we see America under threat. And now we'll see what's going on in Israel. So I'll draw another map. Israel, Gaza. Now we have Egypt. We have Libya. We have Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Cyprus, Greece, all to get involved. We have the U.S. military too, we know, in the Mediterranean, down around Saudi Arabia, Yemen, in the Red Sea area. So we see with our lying eyes, we can see ships and forces being poised. And now we have this. The UN on just a few days ago brought out charges against Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli government being responsible for war crimes in Gaza. Yeah, this was provided by UN Chair Navi Pillay. And then the next day, so this happened about on June 19, next day, June 20, we see Israel threatening to go to war now against Lebanon, Hezbollah. And so what the IDF is doing, they are withdrawing from Gaza. And now with this new charge by the UN about war crimes, they withdrew from Gaza. Now they're going to go after Lebanon. Well, we see already in Libya, we see Russian warships. We see them in Alexandria, Egypt. We see them in Syria, Russia. Russia will be a player if Israel attacks Lebanon. Israel has given Lebanon until June 24 to cross the Litani River, a distance of about 20-30 kilometers, about 19 to 25 miles. Hezbollah said no. So now we have other players getting ready. And Mr. Dugin from Russia, a philosopher, said now Russia will open a second front in the Middle East. And so we see Russia poised here and here. We see the U.S. military poised. Now, on Cyprus, there are UK bases, which Lebanon, Hezbollah, a proxy for Iran. So far, the players we have shaping up, we have Israel, we have Hezbollah, we have Iran, we have Russia going on. And the U.S. is on the side of Israel. Now, so with Israel as Cyprus, Cyprus said that Israel can use its island to attack Lebanon. On Cyprus are UK bases. So we have the UK on this side. The UK has come out and said if Iran, Hezbollah attacks UK bases on Cyprus, that the UK would interpret this as a Article 5 NATO, and all of NATO then will come against Lebanon. So we have that going on. And Greece supports Cyprus. Well, Turkey will come in on this side because Turkey hates Greece. Yeah. So that's going on. And I think it's very unnerving somewhat that we have an official voice for Russia saying that Russia will open a second front in the Middle East. So we have that going on. And now we have this. Hezbollah has said it would hit UK bases in Cyprus. It will target the city of Paphos, which is an international airport and UK air base. It will hit a base in Nicosia. That's a base for Cyprus. It will hit an air base in the Tudos Mountains. That's a radar and command base for Cyprus. It will hit the Abrotiri base. That's a UK base near the city of Limassol. And they will concentrate on hitting the UK bases. We saw recently an attack, many believe by Russia, on a UK base in Africa in the nation of Chad. And from these UK bases on the island of Cyprus, the UK commands and directs attacks on Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, and Yemen. And Russia wants the UK bases to be hit in Cyprus. Hezbollah has said their targets inside Israel will be Haifa and Tel Aviv. And Lebanon has said they will strike Israel with a preemptive strike as soon as they see the IDF prepping and crossing the border between Israel and Lebanon. So we see a war front here. So we see that going on with all these nations, including Russia. And Russia's already set up their warships on both sides of Israel. So that's going on. And now we have this. We have, So what's going on in North Korea, South Korea, China, Taiwan? Russia has signed a pact with China. China and Russia will take Taiwan together. Russia warships are now practicing simulating an attack on South Korea and also Japan. On Japan are 23 U.S. military bases. So, President Putin, after visits to North Korea and China, is now setting up with an escalation in Ukraine. But just today, there were practices by Russia and by North Korea. Just today, North Korea crossed the border with South Korea. South Korea fired on North Korea. North Korea withdrew. But it's good to note that Russia has warships here that are engaging in this simulation with North Korea for an attack on South Korea and Japan. So we see that going on. Now, right after the meeting of President Putin with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, there was panic all in this area. And we have contacting the U.S. They want U.S. protection against Russia and North Korea. And we know that North Korea is to give Russia like 500,000 or 1 million ammo. And North Korea has also offered Russia the use of a 1 million man army to fight with Russia against Ukraine and NATO and the U.S. Russia will give North Korea ICBM missiles with nuclear technology. So as soon as that was announced, in a panic, the U.S. was contacted by Japan, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Yeah, I think people are seeing this and not liking it, being afraid. And they should be. And just today, Russian warships are engaging in a practice with North Korea to attack South Korea and Japan. So that's going on. Yeah, war news. North Korea storms South Korea. And the Russian Pacific Fleet is backing up North Korea, and they are in firing position. Russian fleet practices near South Korea and Japan. So we see that going on. And what do we see now in, and also Thailand was one of the countries that also contacted the U.S. for protection against Russia. Japan, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, Indonesia, and Thailand. So that's going on. We technically have 4 war fronts. That would be the U.S., surrounded by Russia. That would be the Middle East. And that would be the Pacific, North Korea and Russia. And now we'll talk about what's going on in Ukraine. So we have NATO, we have Poland, Romania, Germany. We have all these nations headed up by psychopaths leading the U.S. and NATO. So what's going on in Ukraine? Yeah, ANIA is documenting organ trafficking in Ukraine. Yeah, they also have bioweapons labs put there by the U.S. systematically being taken down by Russia. I have a Patriot subscriber from Romania. The Romanian people don't want war. Well, the American people don't either. And I'm sure the people of China and Taiwan and Japan and Israel don't want war. The people of America and many nations around the world don't want war. It's only the Romanian politicians, and they fraud our elections. The American people can relate to that. We saw that definitely in our 2020 presidential election. War News 24/7 is reporting. Yeah, this is the report about a French ammo depot being blown up in Chad. So I misspoke. It wasn't UK, it was French. And Russia said, well, they were probably going to be sending that ammo to Ukraine. So it's believed it was Russian sabotage against the French, a member of NATO. And now we have from Bloomberg. Now we have citizens in Denmark who are being told to stock up on water, food, and iodine to last at least 3 days. Baby, if you need iodine because you have a nuke attack, you're going to need a lot more than 3 days provision, most likely several months. And so we have that going on. But the Denmark government is saying this to the people of Denmark. And we have this. We see the first use in Ukraine of a larger bomb by Russia, a Fab 3000 that had a guided package on it. It hit near Kharkiv in this area, near Lipsy. And on that day, Russia took out 2,165 Ukraine soldiers who were neutralized. And then Russia hit energy sectors that were making military equipment inside Ukraine. That happened June 20. Now, intel from Steve Quayle. Yesterday, June 20 at 11:11 a.m. in the morning, blast doors were opened on 12 Russian subs. Silos inside Russia are open. So the blast doors are open on subs when they're getting ready to launch. War News today, June 21. The U.S. and NATO are to go inside Ukraine, shoot down Russian planes inside the Russian EEZ. That would be, so we have Crimea, we've got the Black Sea, Russia claims an EEZ zone. Typically, it's 12 miles from your land, where other planes cannot go without permission. The U.S. and NATO say to Ukraine and other NATO, well, we know that Jens Stoltenberg slipped. The F-16s will be piloted by NATO pilots. The world knows that. So this is a further statement. Allegedly, this is giving okay to Ukraine. It's going to be NATO pilots. They can go inside and strike Russia inside their EEZ zone and strike targets inside Russia. And the U.S. is widening the geographic range that Ukraine can hit. And we know it isn't Ukraine, it's actually NATO pilots. And they can strike inside Russia up to 300 kilometers with F-16s, says the U.S. and NATO today. And the U.S. and NATO want Ukraine to secure the airspace before there's a ground invasion of the U.S. military and NATO forces into Ukraine. And the U.S. State Department tells U.S. citizens, do not travel to Russia. And now we have this for today. We have Russian President Putin after his visits to North Korea and China. Russia sees the U.S. and NATO escalate, and U.S. NATO calling for the strategic defeat of Russia. And we heard at that so-called peace summit, which Hal Turner's intel was, that was simply a cover. It was not a peace summit. It was a clandestine war planning meeting. And Russia sees U.S. and NATO taking strategic steps and making statements to destroy Russia. We had President Duda of Poland making a public statement. Russia should be broken up into 200 ethnic areas. Russia interprets this as being the end of Russia. Russia's nuclear posture is, Russia has stated, Russia does not believe it can beat NATO with conventional weapons. If Russia sees that the U.S. and NATO are going to make a massive attack on Russia, Russia will respond with a preemptive nuclear strike, and those strikes will be not only on Ukraine, but those strikes will be inside the United States of America. They will take down London. They will take down Paris. They will take down Berlin. They will take down Brussels and other strategic points throughout Europe and the U.S. This concludes my flash. And as the great state of Tennessee brings out, it's a great time to fast and pray. I love you, and I'll see you soon.